What's going on, guys? It's your boy Darth Eternal here with the latest Star Wars news. But before we do get into that, remember, hit the subscribe, like, and notification bell so you're always in the know. Also, go check out my last video as it was a good one, so give it a thumbs up as you watch. Let's start today's show because we have some big news today. Welcome back to the Eternal Sith Network. Today we're going to be doing episode 5 of the Kenobi series breakdown, and man, do I have to say it was a good one. So let's get into it right off the rip, guys. I mean, they did not miss a beat. Deborah Chow, you are a legend. Thank you for this. We really have to say we appreciate you giving us a flashback version of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker from Attack of the Clones. Boom, 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 boom. And we got, obviously, Ewan McGregor reprising his role as Space Jesus, aka, obviously, Obi Wan Kenobi with the long, voluptuous hair. I have to say, it was amazing to get this flashback, and I'm so happy they did such a good job with Hayden Christensen and seeing Ewan McGregor in this flashback scene as they are sparring. And then after we notice that they get into, we see Vader, and it opens just like that, the opening scene, apart from the flashback. And again, this is super awesome as we know that they are on their way to Jabeam. As we know from the previous episode, Reva put a tracker in Lola, so we know where they're going. And in this episode, it was kind of cool because we kind of see Reva, she actually becomes the next Grand Inquisitor as she gets her little pin. Yes, and I say little pin that goes on the little left side of her little plate there that Vader gives to her and awards her as the Grand Inquisitor is dead. Or is he? And we'll talk about that in just a bit. But again, it's cool to see that they're really talking about this and diving deeper into the Inquisitors. I really enjoy her character. I have to say they're doing a really good job. And man, did she kill it this episode. And comment down below if you guys really enjoyed her as well. But we're going to keep going into it as we will see some more images coming up right now. But I have to say, seeing Vader, more Vader and Reva, I'm all with it. They're doing a phenomenal job. They are killing it right now. So we know that they finally got back to Jabeam, Roken, and we know that Kenobi and Leia and Tala got back. So which was cool. And we got to see Roken, like I said, again. Then we see Haja. We got to see him again as he is the comedic relief for the series. And I love his character. I have to say they're doing such a good job. But we do notice that they are trying to leave Jabeam as they know that the Empire is on their way. And then we get to see Vader in hyperspace, right? I thought that was pretty cool. Kind of gave me like Rebels vibe right there as we see Reva right there as well. And they are on their way to Jabeam to obviously locate them. Then we get to see Lola as she is still possessed and she still has the tracker on her, and she actually cuts off the cords to basically close the doors so that way they can't leave Jabeam. And then we notice here, we see Kenobi looking at the actual wall with writings on it. And if you guys notice, like we don't know yet what's being said on it, but one of the things that he does say is the light will fade, but it is never forgotten. And that is something that a gray Jedi, I know there's not a lot of people that are fans of gray Jedi, but it is a Jedi that is, or a force sensitive, or just a being in general that is in the middle, just as Ahsoka was, just as Quinlan Vos was as well. So I wonder, was that quote written by Ahsoka, or was it written by Quinlan Vos, or was it written by Caleb Dune? But he's still a Jedi, but I would say more towards Quinlan Vos, because obviously we know he's already been referenced. And again, that's the only one that I personally could think of. And the next thing we see are lightsabers. Yes, we get to see some lightsabers. Now, we know that in the next couple of days, we're going to be talking about this as to whose lightsabers are these. And we know that General Grievous is rolling in his grave. And we see Kenobi here grab a lightsaber. Now, we don't know who's just yet he grabs and he's really looking at, because it looks like he took that one out of a lot of them that are there. And it looked personal. He takes the Jedi robe that he sees there. We see him later wear in the series that the sleeves are cut off. Then we get another flashback of Hayden, and yes, Ewing again. Like I said, they're killing it. They really know what they're doing, and I really appreciate it because, again, to see more flashbacks, it was told to us. And again, it's about time that we got this coming in episode 5. Now we see Reva and Kenobi talking, and Kenobi saying, "You know, Anakin, you know him more. And it ends up being that we get another flashback, which is super cool. And I'm really enjoying this, guys, as they're really diving deep into her character. I really appreciate them really explaining more to how she knew Anakin, because again, in the beginning, none of it made sense and there was a lot of complaints on it. But now with them confirming really who she was, and the fact that she was the one from the opening scene in the Kenobi series at the Jedi Temple, I mean, it is Pandora's box. It opens up a whole can of worms that you can talk about, and now we can sit there and see possibly, you know, what ended up happening after. And that's why I really want to learn her story a lot more, because there's more to her and there's more that meets the eye. So then right after, we see Reva break through the door with her lightsaber as she ignites it through right down the middle, and then we see the demise of Tala. She ends up dying, which was so sad because I loved her character in this series. But that's what makes Star Wars so great, so emotional, is to see a character die, just like Rogue One when we saw the whole cast basically die off. This was super awesome. I love it. Again, it brings a lot of emotion to the series. Now, the next thing we get is another flashback, which I was really excited to see. I couldn't believe it, seeing Anakin and Hayden again go at it, and it really gave me Revenge of the Sith vibes with their duel. And you see the two of them just really going at it. And again, you hear Anakin said, you know, admit it, you're beaten, master. Then right after, we get to see some Vader, obviously, and as he's landing on Jabeam and getting ready to retrieve the one, the only Kenobi. And then we notice that Kenobi, and we get to see it, that he ends up sacrificing himself and turning himself in to Reva. So that way, it becomes a little bit more interesting as he says, you're not bringing him to me. And it gets deeper. I'm bringing him to you. I was like, yo, that hit a note. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. And he's like, are you gonna let him do that? Are you gonna let him slaughter more younglings? As she was a youngling herself at one point in time and sacrificed herself while she faked her own death. Now we see Vader finally come in and land on Jabeam to retrieve the one, the only Kenobi. And it's cool to see that they actually escaped. They fixed the doors and Vader comes in. And this scene, I thought right here, I'm going to mention something to you guys that you probably noticed if you obviously have played the game before. But when I saw this gave me, when he freaking was bringing down that transport ship, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I really thought to myself, Force Unleashed. When Starkiller's bringing down that Star Destroyer, I was like, dude, this is really happening in freaking real life in the Kenobi series. Now, it ended up, as he's ripping this thing to shreds and to parts, it ends up being that the transport ship was an actual decoy and there was nobody in it, and they just basically used that. And as you see here, they escape, and you know Vader is pissed as hell that just happened, because he basically just got made a fool of. So right after, we get a Kenobi and Anakin scene, and you see Kenobi taking Anakin's lightsaber there, and it is so beautiful to see that, as he tells him, you're a great warrior, Anakin, but you need to prove yourself, and that is your undoing. And you see Hayden just looking at him like, boy, I'm gonna mess you up. Nah, but he says, until you overcome it, which is beautiful, that lightsaber, a Padawan you still will be. But it's so awesome to see these two together and just smiling and giving each other a hug and just remembering the old times. But then right after, we see the unfortunate demise now of Reva, as well, as she comes and ignites her lightsaber as she is trying to come after Vader. And you see the power of Vader as he force pushes Reva. And I have to say, this was a dope fight, but man, all he literally used was the Force to push her in every way. He didn't even use a lightsaber the whole time. That's the insane part. He didn't even use his lightsaber throughout the whole fight. You see it, but literally just Force pushes her the whole time. And she literally could not land a single blow, as she then ignites both the lightsabers, as we know that the Inquisitors have a double-bladed lightsaber, and she actually tries spinning. It ends up working for Anakin, but doesn't work for her. Funny, right? No pun intended. But it is, I have to say, so dope. It makes me want her lightsaber all the more. But I have to say, my favorite part that I really like was this scene right here, when he just literally schools her, takes her lightsaber, snaps it in two, and throws her own lightsaber at her, and basically is like, pick it up and see what you got. But she ends up not being able to do anything. But then we get the flashback scene of her remembering Anakin slaughtering the younglings, and this will be the new scene now in Star Wars as he slaughters more younglings as it's going. And then we see him strike her with the lightsaber. Now, we don't know where exactly he strikes her, if it's the chest or the torso, but we know that she gets struck and he takes his lightsaber out. And then we get to see the Grand Inquisitor come. And now we can rest assured they did not mess up the canon, guys. He is still alive, and he says, "Did you really believe I did not see it, youngling?" when Vader tells her that. And you really could tell she really was hunting him for a long time. And he says to her, "You are no further of use." And then the Grand Inquisitor comes in. And this was cool because, like I said before, it really confirms now that he is still alive and he did not die. And now it doesn't mess anything up for Rebels. So that's a positive note right there. And then in the next scene, it looks like Reva sees the transmission from Bail Organa that he had sent out to Kenobi about Luke on Tatooine. And then in the final scene of the episode, we see little Luke sleeping, and you know what that means. Going forward for this last episode, it has to hit hard. They have to talk about little Luke, at least show us a little bit of him and Aunt Beru, because they haven't showed anything, and she had promised us in interviews that we would see more of her. Now, guys, my full review on this whole series, I have to say, or shall I say episode, I give this one a 9 out of 10. I mean, we got Attack of the Clone flashbacks. We got to see Reva being the youngling from the opening scene from that flashback of Order 66. I mean, the list goes on. The Inquisitor is still alive. He's there. We see Vader freaking bringing down a transport ship. You see Kenobi using his lightsaber. I mean, again, you can't ask for any more. I mean, what more can you ask for at this point? Not much, like I said. This episode really hit home for me. It hit all the notes that I ever wanted to in Star Wars. Unfortunately, yes, we did lose Tala, but I have to say, a phenomenal episode, and I can't wait for episode 6, and I think there's going to be a whole bunch of things. But I do want to say, the biggest takeaway that I can't wait to learn more about is what the writing on the wall was and who it was from. Which Jedi came and wrote that? Was it Quinlan? Was it Ahsoka? Comment down below who you think it was, or could it have been Kanan Jarrus at one point? We don't know. But again, guys, comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the episode and this breakdown. Did you enjoy episode 5 of the Kenobi series, as we only have one episode left? Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys. Hit the subscribe, like, and notification bell so you're always in the know, and stay tuned as I'll have another video out tomorrow. Later, guys.